LeBron James and Kyrie Irving rested, and the Miami Heat took advantage with a blowout win over the Cavs. It was the third game in 4 days and the second in a back-to-back. LeBron now has sat 5 times this year and twice against Miami since he returned to the land. Stephen A., you got a problem with this?
Yes, I do. I have the same problem that I've always had with LeBron James when it comes to sitting down. I hate the fact that it's for road games. I think that 41 nights you play at home in front of your hometown fans, you're going to the playoffs. They'll be able to see you then. In all likelihood, you'll be going to the NBA Finals. They'll get to see you then. When you're on the road, it's rare that they get to see you. But this particular sitting out resonated with me profoundly as well because it's the Miami Heat. It's an organization that you starred for 4 years, went to 4 consecutive NBA Finals, brought 2 NBA championships to them, and then you decided to leave. And that's certainly your right, and he certainly didn't do anything wrong. He gave it all he had while he was there. He's a number, you know, they should retire his number someday and honor him and what have you. The flip side to that, however, is that those fans miss you as well. And so when you only come back like twice a year and you pick that game to sit out, knowing what you meant to that fan base and considering his philanthropy, his charitable tendencies, what you mean to that community, it's rare that they get to see you. And that kind of stuff matters. Of course, he doesn't have to do it, Max. It's not a crime that he didn't play or anything like that. But what I loved about the Kobes, what I loved about the MJs and others, it was individuals, superstars that just had this sixth sense about folks coming to see them, and it affected them. And to me, with LeBron, it just seems to be a very business-like approach in that regard, and maybe it should be. I understand that. So, again, I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm just saying that when I turned on the game looking forward to watching him against his old team, Miami, and sitting on the bench, I felt bad for those fans there.
The old Odd Couple show, Oscar, Steven. We go through this every time.
Yeah, we do. So I'm consistent.
Issue. You know, when a football player doesn't put himself in harm's way, sometimes it's called a business decision, right? He made a business decision, and that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
When a college football team or basketball has an easy game on the schedule, a college football team, that's a business decision, basically. You worry about their record and national titles and stuff, and that's considered a bad thing. What you're asking LeBron James and the Cavs to do is make a business decision rather than a competitive decision, is let the business of the league interfere with their competitive goals. LeBron James' goal is one thing, win a championship. To hell with everything else as a player during the season. If you sit down in the offseason, they institute a new rule or something else, he's brand conscious. But during the season, he's trying to get his group of guys ready to win a championship. So to sit against the Heat, at Miami, I get it, boo-hoo, the fans. By the way, we're not really denied theater, the rest of us. The fans in Miami are deprived. But we're not denied theater. Dwayne Wade's not there anymore. Chris Bosh isn't there anymore. That would be interesting. They're gone. So what theater are we really denied? Panning to a shot of, or cutting to a shot of Pat Riley looking at LeBron or something? Like, what theater are we denied? We're just worried about the fans in Miami? Tough for the fans in Miami. In fact, as a Cavs fan, I don't want him sitting at home. I want him sitting on the road. And if you have, of course, he's ours if you're a Cavs fan. Forget the other team. And if you're worried about anything in terms of the sitting, the real problem is Ty Lue hasn't sat him enough at this point in the season, to this point in the season. So he may have tired legs if they make a deep, when they make a deep playoff run. That's the real problem.
I get
Not
the minutes, but
now.
other guys in the past have done it, Stephen A.
Well, let me say this. Let me be very, very clear. I know how hard LeBron James works. I know the minutes that he puts in, and he logs more minutes than practically anybody. That's not what this is about. Nobody's debating whether or not LeBron gets enough time off, deserves more time off, or whatever the case may be. I have 2 issues. Me, inherently, I'm opposed to guys who are superstars, sitting out for rare road appearances. You don't mind that. You're like, hell with that.
Change the rules.
I'm just understand that. But keep in mind, it's not always about the rules. Sometimes it's about your conscience. One of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit later on is the All-Star game and how Steve Kerr and others are talking about how it's up to the players or whatever. There are things that they can do, but it doesn't make it right. The paying customer matters. The fan base matters. I'm saying to you that when you think about some of the greats throughout NBA history, the fact that LeBron, don't think for 1 second as great as LeBron is, that LeBron makes all of this money because he's LeBron. That's only one component. You know what the other component is? History. How the stage was set for him, because there were stars who came before him that had a level of sensitivity and elevated to such a degree that it assisted in the elevation of the popularity of a sport.
But don't ask him to make those considerations in the middle of a season.
Wait a minute.
He's playing by the rules.
No, I'm saying that, Max, then we don't need to discuss it, because I'm not saying he broke a rule. I'm talking about your own individual conscience.
You're asking him
I'm saying to you
to
like
put
this.
that ahead of his competitive interests.
If I'm a superstar in the league and I know that I'm going to Utah once a year, I'm going to be sensitive to the fact that those fans in Utah will never get to see me. I'm going to be sensitive to the fact that a fan in Denver will never get to see me. I'm not going to sit up there and say, tough, to hell with them, because I'm a superstar and I'm going to pay attention to my fans in Cleveland. That's all I'm saying.
And what I'm saying is...
By the way, let me read this lineup to you. This lineup in Miami Saturday night. You ready for this, Molly? Mm-hmm. Tristan Thompson, Iman Shumpert, James Jones, Kyle Korver, and Darren Williams.
Yep.
You trying to tell me those fans, when they wanted to see the Cavaliers and
they were cheated?
Let me ask you something. If LeBron James plays in that game, who wins?
They weren't treated.
As a Heat fan,
that's
trying to make the playoffs, trying to get seeding. If I'm a Heat fan, I want my team to win. If LeBron sits, that raises the odds that we win.
I'm asking you a question. You're trying to tell me that when fans went out, and Rick Ross is about to be up here, the man's about to show up here the whole bit, we could ask him to. You trying to tell me when fans went and buy a ticket for the Cleveland Cavaliers to come into town, they thought they were going to see Thompson, Shumpert, Jones, Kyle Korver, and Darren Williams, who was just picked up off waivers?
I'm trying to make this point before we're out of time.
Go ahead.
The point is that everything you're talking about, those issues are valid issues, but not to be asked of the star player mid-season when he's trying to win a championship. If you don't like the way things are set up, you address it in the preseason. The league can address it. The team can address it. Whatever. But in the middle of a season, the way the rules are at the moment, if LeBron James believes that it gives him a better chance to win a championship by sitting, or Ty Lue believes that, sit him. Don't make a business decision.
You know what I don't like about what you're saying? Where I find it highly insensitive what you're saying? You're acting like it's all about just basketball. I'm sorry, LeBron is a global, iconic figure because the products he sells and markets and pushes is to a global audience. He doesn't sit up there and tell fans in Miami don't buy his stuff. He doesn't sit there and tell people, in Utah or someplace else, don't buy his product.
As a player, if you ask him to consider those things instead, the only thing you should ask your player on your team is to win a championship. Keep your eye on the ball. Don't take your eye off the ball.
So in other words, stars, the guys you grew up idolizing, they didn't have a heightened, elevated level of sensitivity where they went like this. This audience right here supports me. Everybody does. So guess what? I'm going to ingratiate myself. Oh, really? That's your answer. Things have changed.
Kyrie Irving said as well.
All right. I ain't buying it, bro. I ain't buying it. And now this is my man Rick Ross. I bet you he agrees with me. Okay? I bet you he agrees with me.
We'll get into it with him in just a minute.